big effort. Bersama AU. So thank you so much for the big effort. So, I'll just wait until the papers come down so you can see them.
Any more?
apologies. Normally, by now we have started, but I think the weather is such that we haven't started. Just remind me, I think this is the first program after Krishna Janmashtami. When Krishna was born, it was pouring with rain. So I think we've given you the same display here today to help with that. So initially, again, my heartfelt thanks to everyone, the wonderful audience actually to give up their time to actually spend listening to these discourses. So initially, we're very grateful for that. So, a couple of things I want you to touch base on is that we'll wait for Kunal to come, then we'll start the main speeches, but we've got some special guests today as well, and we'll start looking at that. But today we're looking at the 5th chapter, and it's the first half of the chapter, and I'm waiting for Kunal's discourse, because when I read the title, it's like a Zen Buddhist type of thing. It says, I think it says, be in this world, but not of this world. So it's like one of those things that I think when I'm sitting and looking at those old pictures of the Buddhist monks, it's one of those things that comes to me. So I'm going to wait and see what he says about all of that. What we may want to do before Kunal starts coming in is do some formalities. Initially, we're very honored to have you all here. Let's got some key guests. First one is Mina Benjasani, the president of the Lohana. Again, it's because of the Lohana community that we've actually got the privilege to actually use this hall. So we'll go first and maybe we'll give a few minutes to say some words, if that's okay. You want to say? We listen to the important people first and we'll listen to them.
I'm so proud that you guys are continuing these wonderful sessions, and I'm sure everybody is enjoying. So I think they deserve a big round of applause. Sorry, I can't attend all that I know I want to. When you mentioned Buddhist, I'm very that's very close to my heart. So I think got my message that that's what Kunal is going to decide today. So anyway, please continue and please continue supporting the team, and end of the day we will benefit. So thanks very much everybody. Thank you Bharatbhai and I think the battle basically has to come back. Thanks very much for
Perfect, thank you so much. So again, and I think we've talked a couple of times, actually, we've been here for around 18 months, and actually we've had this hall effectively free of charge. So one thing that we thought I think we agreed collectively that we tried to do is actually just to, as a token of thanks, call the trustees and to say that, thank you very much for everything, but also give them a small donation towards the hall. So again, if I get Mina Ben to come and give donation. Come front, please. But you can try coming as well, so come on.
You guys should be doing it.
You honor us as well with this cover. You do the 1 minute. So, just say it, guys. Come on. So, you want the trustees as well?
Yes.
Okay, my apologies. So first we collected about £300. It's only a token, but we're really grateful for the privilege that we've had here. And it's lovely because with the deities as well. So every time we come, we are reminded of them. So and give this to them.
Thank you. Thank you, Leonard, and thank you, everyone. Thanks very much.
We'll pick these up. But the other thing we're also going to give you is, just so everyone's aware, because this is a Gita class, we're going to give a Gita. So just a couple of words about the Gita. So if we, when we have the discourses, we always talk about the Gita, but the first thing is just a couple of small points. When Narendra Modi goes to a foreign country, this is the gift he actually gives the foreign leaders. And the way he says it, he goes, India has so many riches, but this is the wealthiest thing that India has to give. So this is the reason we're getting this. And the other thing is we come from a tradition where we follow ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said that it's good, you know, and he said, why did you come to the West? Why have you brought this Bhagavad Gita to all these Westerners and to all these other people? And it's good, no problem, because when the West came to India, they took everything. I forgot this. So this is what we're going to do here. Okay, so this is the reason we can just get here comes. So there are three there, so we can give three onto each. Yeah?
Then
Daniel, who is the treasurer, and the struggle to make some shy side.
Thank you. So now we negotiate. We want this for another 4 or 5 years.
You know, as long as it's being used for a good purpose, I'm sure the board is more than willing to do that.
thank you.
So I think we're all on the.
Maybe sweeter, why don't you get this? This will be like a program.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a water cooler, pizza takeaway? Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And again, I know there's some new faces, so again, it's lovely to see you all. And Kunal is one of our young audiences, if that makes sense. So again, we're just going to let you go straight for it. I understand the travels, maybe, so thank you again for taking time. So again, as we're giving us, we're giving our time. He's actually giving all of his time, at drop of a hat. So again, well, thank you, and I'll let you take charge.
You know, growing up, I always wondered, what did it mean to be a Lohana? and I never really understood it fully, but just coming here and seeing the RCT trustees, just seeing the spirit of the community to share the Bhagavad Gita and to facilitate the sharing of the Bhagavad Gita gives me so much pleasure in my heart and actually makes me so proud to be part of the community. So thank you all to the RCT trustees, all the organisers who organise these events, which is not easy, but we really appreciate it. For me, it's, I get to come here, crack a few jokes and get to go home, and everyone says thank you to me, but I don't really do anything. So thank you to all of the team and the trustees for facilitating, and the whole, all of you, because there'll be no one to speak to if no one was here. So thank you all. So we are on chapter 5 of the Bhagavad Gita. Apologies again for being late. Did we chant the Mangala Charan?
No, we
Haven't done that yet. Okay. Should we pass that round? Yeah? Okay. So we have some prayers here. Maybe we just pass a few of them around. I don't know if all of them are the same one. Some of them are good.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I can pass you one.
So before we start, we'll chant a prayer, the Mangala Charan. When we chant this prayer, we are just trying to call out. There's a few sheets going around. Thank you, David. There's a few sheets going out, so maybe we can share. When we are chanting this prayer, what we are trying to do is we're just trying to invoke the blessings of the Lord, invoke the blessings of the previous teachers who have blessed us with this transcendental knowledge. And through their blessings, we're able to share something and have a spiritual discussion. We're going to try and meditate on leaving everything else behind. Whatever's going on in our life, whatever's going on in our world out there, we've all got so much. The material world is not shy to give us, to put a lot on our plate, put it that way. So we all have a lot on our plate, and I'm just going to invite you just to let it go for this next hour. And as we let it all go, just invite our real self, invite our true self, the self that is very loving, very giving, very compassionate, very sharing, very happy, very caring, and very much ready to love. And with this love, we're going to call out these prayers, really, really seeking mercy, blessings, very importantly, forgiveness. We are often living our lives expecting mercy for ourselves and justice for everyone else that's around us. And what we're going to invite you to do is find that place in the heart that wants mercy, that wants forgiveness and happiness for everyone. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Tapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sadhana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Balaram Sadhana Ranitam Shri Vishakhamritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, last time we met was about 1 month ago, when we were discussing chapter 4. Chapter 4 was a very intricate chapter where Krishna was explaining to Arjuna the importance of having a spiritual teacher, the importance of having spiritual guidance. Because when we have spiritual teachers and spiritual guidance, the teachers of spirituality, those that are practicing spirituality, if we have guidance from those that are on the path, they can help us on our journey. Otherwise, what can happen, we can open up this beautiful book, this most profound book, and when we open it up, we could read chapter 5, we're in chapter 5, those of us that have it. If you are on the WhatsApp group, Jyoti Ben did send on the link, so you can open up chapter 5 on the link if you wish to follow. But in the beginning of chapter 5, we can see here, it says, Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce work. And then again, you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial?" So when we read this, we might think, what's going on? What does this mean? So Krishna in the last chapter was saying to Arjuna, have a spiritual teacher, have some spiritual teachers. And if you have spiritual teachers, they'll be able to guide us, they'll be able to help us understand what this means for us in our current situation. It's amazing that this book, these teachings, meant something to Arjuna at the moment he was in battle, and it meant something totally different to him many years later. But the same teachings, because the teachings are ever alive, they are ever fresh, but they can have a different meaning according to our circumstance in life. So Arjuna, while he was on the battlefield, Krishna told him right at the end of chapter 4, "Atishta tishta Bharata, get up and fight. Get up and fight." Many, many years later, Arjuna is said to have remembered the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, and remembering the teachings that he learned from Krishna in the battle of Kurukshetra, he decided that now was the time to renounce everything. And he walked, and he walked, and he walked, until he gave up his body. Many, many years later, after Krishna even left, ended his pastimes here. So, the same teachings can have a different meaning to us depending on our situation in life, where we are in life, where we are in the world, what we're experiencing. Sometimes, doesn't it become very obvious that some higher power is shutting some doors? Don't we sometimes see that, you're trying to really endeavor to achieve something, but it's just not happening. Some doors are being closed. And sometimes, without making any effort at all, doors just start to, different doors, different opportunities, different dreams just start to open up, and we're like, whoa, where did this come from? Without even trying. And if we are receptive, we can always try and understand what opportunities is Krishna giving me right now, and which things in this world am I over-endeavoring for at the moment, which is not really going to make much progress right now. We can see the signs if we're receptive. So Krishna's been told, or should we say, Krishna said to Arjuna in 4.42, stand up and fight. And in 4.39, just a couple of texts before that, Krishna says to Arjuna, achieve param shantim, achieve this everlasting spiritual peace, param shantim, this param everlasting shantim, peace. Go and get everlasting peace. And in 4.42, he's saying, atishta tishta bharata, get up and fight. So Arjuna is confused. It seems to Arjuna there's two conflicting instructions. One is you want me to be peaceful, and the other is you want me to get up and fight. And Arjuna has a preconception. And many of us have preconceptions. We approach our spiritual life with whatever our preconceptions are. Our beliefs, what we got brought up with, what we got told when we were young, what we've seen while we've grown up. And as we've grown up and matured through life, we've developed more and more conceptions because of the way we've experienced the world. Some of us experience the world in a very fearful way. Some of us experience the world in a very authoritarian way. Some of us experience the world in a very dutiful way. We experience the world, and then we come across spiritual teachings. And when we come across spiritual teachings, the teachings may not be exactly what we were hoping for. We hear something and we're thinking, no. I always thought it was like this. Oh, no, isn't it like that? And Arjuna has come with the same preconception. His preconception is, Krishna, you told me to find peace in 4.39, which to him meant I should renounce. I should give up this battle. And a couple of texts later, says he's been told, Param Shanti, get some, just find peace. And 4.42, right at the end of the 4th chapter, after Krishna has given him so much gyan, so much knowledge about why he comes, so much knowledge about the world, so much knowledge about finding a spiritual teacher. And at the end of all of that, Krishna says to Arjuna, Atishta, Tishta, get up and fight. And Arjuna again is thinking, what's going on? What's his preconception? Arjuna's preconception is, if I fight, there is no peace. His preconception is, if I fight, there is no peace. So that's what he's saying to Krishna at the beginning of the 5th chapter. He's saying, so which of the two is more beneficial? Shall I renounce or shall I fight? What do you want me to do? And Krishna starts off saying in 5.2 that, okay, so it says, Krishna replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work. Karma yoga vishishyate. Karma yoga, action is better than no action. Why is action better? Why is it better to have action rather than no action? Just think of when you're having a really tough week at work. Do we have tough weeks at work? Yeah? We have a really tough week at work. I'm having a tough week at work at the moment. Okay, I've got this, I'm teaching this class and they've got to pass the exam. They're doing their accountancy, chartered accounting exams, and if they don't pass, they lose their job. Right? So it's quite intense because all of that fear and tension in their life is like, oh, why do I do this? How do I do that? So it's a very intense day. So there's a part of me that's thinking, I just want to relax on the weekend. You know that feeling, I just want to just lie down in bed and do nothing. Do we get that feeling? I'm going to do that. But then when you're doing that, when we actually lie down in bed and do nothing, or sit on the sofa and do nothing, what happens? What happens when we sit in bed and just do nothing? Or sit on the sofa and just watch TV and relax and pretty much do nothing. Let's say we did that for an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours. What starts to happen?
The wife tells you.
Very brave, very brave. I only say these, yeah, right next to you. I only say these things when my wife's not here.
You start thinking.
You start thinking more. The mind doesn't stop. The mind is still very active. So one thing is the wife tells us off, yes, but the other thing is the mind is very, very active. So even if we've got this idea of I'll do nothing, the mind doesn't like doing nothing. The mind is racing. The mind is giving us things to do. The mind can, and we'll look at this when we do the sixth chapter. Krishna explains in the 6th chapter that the mind can either be our best friend or our worst enemy. If we want the mind to be our best friend, we've got to train the mind. Otherwise, if you don't work on the mind is the worst enemy. How? It's said that an idle mind is a devil's workshop. It's a devil's workshop. What does that mean? If the mind is idle, bad thoughts, bad ideas, wrong things about people, they just start instigating in the mind. They start getting us going. We watch something on the TV and then we relate it to someone who we know in our life, and we project everything we think about someone else on this one character on a program. And, oh, isn't she just like this one? Or isn't he just like that one? And, they're totally different. But we start projecting these things when the mind is very idle. So Krishna is saying actually working devotional service is better than renunciation of work. So what do we do when we have our preconceptions? What do we do when we have our mind giving us a bit of a hard time? So Krishna is saying, okay, look, just work in devotional service. What does it mean to work in devotional service? Better to be engaged. Better to be engaged in something higher. Do something useful, do something productive, do something that isn't necessarily just for you. That's what work in devotional service. Just have some action that we're sacrificing something for a higher cause. We're sacrificing something, and that something can just be our time. Sacrifice our time for a higher purpose that's not just about our enjoyment. So Krishna carries on, and I'm just going to skip a couple of texts because otherwise I'll get that look that we're running late. Because I always start. What time do I finish? Just so I know. 8:30. 8:30. Just so I know. Okay. So I'm going to just skip to text 6. Does anyone have the Gita with them? Yeah. Okay, can someone read text 6 for me? Nice and loud and clear. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Really renouncing all activity, yet not engaging in the devotional services of the Lord cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional services can achieve the supreme liberation.
Thank you very much. So, renouncing all activities but not engaging in devotional service cannot make one happy. So just renouncing everything. I'm going to give up certain things, give up certain habits, become very austere. But if we do this, it cannot make one happy unless we have a higher purpose. A higher purpose. So sometimes we just think, as long as I just give up smoking, I'll become happy. If I give up drinking, I'll become happier. If I give up meat eating, I'll be happy. We may have certain different things that we do, and we think to ourselves, if I give this up, I'll be happy. It's not necessarily the case that giving something up will make us, that in itself will make us happy. Giving something up can make us more motivated to do other things. So for example, if we just think of it in a very worldly way, if one is an athlete, if one gives up smoking, they will be able to run more. Right? Run, they'll have more stamina, they can run more. The athlete will be able to run better. So therefore, just the act of giving up smoking will not necessarily make the athlete happier. But when the athlete stops smoking and then does something, i.e. can run an extra mile or can run faster, the action is going to make the person happier. But merely giving up the smoking won't make that person happier. But what we do when we give something up is we use that extra determination, motivation, facility to do something productive and better for us. So then Krishna says, a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. I was having a conversation with a few friends just a few days ago about the importance of thinking. And here Krishna is saying, a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service. A thoughtful person. A muni. A muni is someone who thinks. A muni. So what is it about being a thoughtful person? So I was having this conversation with a few friends because we were discussing how when we first, me and my friends, we've kind of been, could say, started our spiritual journey around the same time. And so we were just discussing how when we first started our spiritual journey, we thought to ourselves, we don't need to think anymore because someone else is just going to tell me what I've got to do. Oh, you've got to chant this many rounds, you've got to read this, you've got to eat this, just drink this, follow this on the calendar. Oh, this is Ekadashi, yep, that's the day I fast, that's the day I do this. Then someone else is doing all my thinking. And then what happens after some time, we start to find faults. Oh, but this person's like that, and that person's like this. And then what happens is we can have a crisis of faith. And isn't it very disturbing when we see so-called spiritualists not acting in ways that we would expect of spiritual people? You know, you say, you know, when you see a person who's practicing their spiritual life and they're not quite behaving according to what it says in the Gita, we start to experience the symptoms of Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga, the age we're living in, is said to be the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So these are the two things very symptomatic of the age we live in. Quarrel, we see quarrel everywhere. We actually are attracted to quarrel. We don't realize how attracted we are. How do we know we're attracted to quarrel? I'll give you an example. Let's say, so I get on the train, and then I get on the train and I go to central London. So if I'm on the train, and let's say I get off, so this week I've been working in Waterloo. I'm at Waterloo Station, right? And let's say I'm going down the lift, and there's lift going up, right? And this is the way our general conditioning is like. You see two people who are a bit cuddly, a bit affectionate, you're like, oh my God, like seriously? Like, do you have to do this in public? You know, it's like the mind just thinks like that. You don't even want to look, oh God, like this. And you go to work. Next day, you're going down the escalator, and on the other escalator, a couple are having an argument. This is exciting. Oh, they're fighting, they're arguing, and you're like watching the whole way you're fighting. You don't even realize that you've got to the bottom of the escalator because you're so attracted to someone else's quarrel. Isn't it? So, and the thing is, when we see two people argue, have a disagreement, a little tiff, an argument, suit you. Yeah, suit you. I don't want to suit you. You know, you're at a wedding. At weddings, things get a bit intense because because it's a bit of quarrel. A bit of quarrel makes us a bit excited. Like, and this is the age we live in. The age we live in is an age of quarrel, and the sad thing is, we're attracted to it. We're actually attracted to it. And so then what I did on the third day, whenever I saw a couple that were affectionate with each other, I decided, oh, that's nice. I started to train my mind that actually it's nice to see that people are loving in this world. You know, I thought that's nice. And if people are arguing, just leave them to it. Isn't it? Like, leave them to it. We don't, it's like, I've got my own quarrels in life, let them get on with theirs. But we're so attracted to it. It's so juicy, isn't it? And the other thing, the symptom of the age that we live in Kali Yuga, is quarrel and hypocrisy. When we see something hypocritical, it really, again, really catches our attention. It really catches our attention because it's the age we live in. And something that is so difficult for us to accept is when we see wrongdoing in the name of religion. You know, in the name of religion, when wrong things happen, and actually we see so many of the most biggest atrocities in the world are carried out in the name of religion. In the name of something good, so much harm, damage, and pain is being caused. So I was having this discussion with my friends that actually we need to think for ourselves. We need to think for ourselves. And Krishna here is saying very clearly, a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. Adigachati. Nachirena adigachati. So nachirena adigachati, he can achieve without delay. Attains the higher destination without delay. How can we attain this highest destination without delay? By being thoughtful. So what we have, Krishna explained in the 4th chapter, have spiritual teachers. So we have guidance, we have spiritual guidance, we have spiritual teachers, we ask their advice, and then once receiving the advice of maybe not just one, maybe two, maybe three spiritual, experienced people, and how do we know who we should get advice from? People who are competent, people who know us, and people who love us. This is important. When we're thinking about a checklist of who should I get guidance from, people that are spiritually competent and mature, people who know us, like they know me, the personality, what I'm like, what my likes are, what my dislikes are. Someone that actually has some love for me, someone that actually cares about me, because otherwise we might not trust that person. So what's the point of getting advice if we then don't trust it? It's good to seek advice of someone we can trust. So when we are practicing our spiritual lives, it's just so important to have guidance, assess the guidance maturely, think for ourselves how we can apply that guidance for ourselves. That way, it's not that, oh, such and such told me to do this, and because I did what they told me, my life is a big mess, and it's all their fault. And because it's their fault, and you know what they do? They follow the Bhagavad Gita. So actually it's the Bhagavad Gita's fault. You know, and then we find a way to blame God, blame the Bhagavad Gita, blame the teachings, but the teachings aren't saying to do that. The teachings are saying, a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service, the teachings are saying, be a muni, don't stop thinking. Think about whether the life we are leading every day is actually a life we are happy with, a life that where we're flourishing, a life where we are blossoming. You know, we have a big to-do list. Who's got a big to-do list? Pay this bill, get that done, fix the garden. So many things in our to-do list. So many things, right? So many things. It's endless, actually. So just even thinking about it, I'm thinking, oh my God, I've got to call the car insurance tomorrow. And it's just like even the thought of it. But then I'm the one that said, let's put it all away. So let's put it all away. But we've got such a big to-do list. When we're at universities, we sometimes do these Bhagavad Gita talks at universities, and when we go to universities, we do this meditation. And the meditation is like this. When we are at a funeral, generally what we hear is when we're at a funeral, we generally hear a memorial, some sort of tribute, a tribute to the person, a tribute about the person that has passed away. And when we hear this tribute, when we're at a funeral, sometimes we go to a funeral because we may not have known the actual person that passed away, but maybe we are close to one of the relatives. You're close to the son, the daughter, the mother, the father, the brother, the sister. We're close to someone, and then we go, and then we hear the tribute, and you get to hear about that person. When we go to a funeral and we hear the tribute and we hear about that person, we never ever hear about they drove a Ferrari. We never hear that, right? They had such a big car, they had such a big house, they had such a big position at this job. Actually, what we hear in the tribute is all their wonderful qualities. Isn't it? We hear about all their wonderful qualities, how that person touched other person's lives, how that person touched their hearts, how that person made a difference so that others could have a more meaningful life. And what we do when we go to universities, we have this presentation called "What would I do if I had 24 hours to live?" You know, I want to go bungee jumping, I'll do something exciting, you know, something like that. But what we then think about is, if I could hear my tribute, what people would say about me, not just what people say, what I want people to say about me. Actually, maybe we can all do this. Just close your eyes. Let's close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Notice your breath. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out through your mouth. Just notice your breath. And you're sitting on this chair, and just allow the weight of your body to be very much comfortable in the chair. And just notice that this chair is just supporting all your weight. And allow yourself to go into your heart. And when you're going deep within your heart, and you can notice all your wonderful qualities, think about what it is you would like people to be saying about you when they're talking about you at your memorial. What is it that you'd want people to be saying about you? Now I've thought of a few things. Start to notice your breath again. Breathe in through your nose, and then out through your mouth. If you haven't opened your eyes already, just open your eyes and become aware of the room that we're in, who's around us. And I'd like to invite anyone to share what they would have liked someone to say about them. Would anyone like to volunteer?
Just a very kind person, I suppose.
What a kind person.
A giving.
Very giving person. Thank you. What a kind person, what a giving person. Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Honest person?
An honest person. Thank you.
Truth about you.
Sorry?
Truth. Say the truth.
Say the truth. Good. Thank you.
You only want to hear the good things.
Good things.
About yourself.
So what is it that you wanted to hear?
Kind-hearted,
Kind-hearted, helpful,
Friendly.
friendly, caring, loving. What is that? Loving,
Generous.
generous,
Amazing.
amazing,
Helpful.
helpful,
Selfless.
selfless, service.
Touched other
Service of-
people's hearts.
Sorry?
Touched other people's
Touched other people's hearts.
Big talk long time.
Sorry?
Big talk long time.
A good person who lives his life to the fullest.
A good person who lived his life to the fullest.
Sometimes you want it in relationship to people around you. You may want to be a good father, a good son, a good husband, or whatever, because I think that adds personality or
Yeah,
person. I think
a good
sometimes it's
father.
very important.
Yeah, he's a good father, a good husband, a good wife, a good sister, a good brother, a good mother.
Adventurous.
Adventurous. Anything else? Anything different that we've not heard yet? Reliable,
Family oriented.
family oriented.
I've got a story about this, but
Okay?
about dynamite. Do you know the story?
No?
Okay. So you're talking initially that actually that what would it be like to read your own obituary? So there's actually a known case of somebody that read their own obituary. So this was the guy that invented dynamite. I probably told somebody beforehand. So it was the guy that invented dynamite, and he woke up in the morning, he was French, and he was reading the French Times, and it said the king of death is dead. With a headline he read, he goes, what's this? And he started reading about it, and it was actually about him. His brother had died, and they thought he had died. So this was the man that invented dynamite, and he read this and he thought to himself, he just sat in the chair, initially he was shocked, then he reflected and said, my God, this is what people are saying about me, how many people I've killed, what invention I've made. So this guy said, I'm going to change my life. And he goes, because of this, I see what people are thinking about me, I'm going to do something different. So I've told a few people here, but can anyone guess this guy's name? His name is Nobel. So this was a person that invented the Nobel Prize. After he did this, he changed his life totally. Actually, everyone's forgotten that he invented dynamite, and he started doing good deeds, and he changed his life. So this is Nobel. This is the Nobel Prize that we all go up for. So if you actually open up Google, you can actually read the obituary. It's very touching. But actually, then this is what he saw, that people saw of him. So it was just a story that I had. That I sometimes share, but it's amazing that this is that person that's done what he's done. So sometimes it may be good to read what other people say about you.
Thank you, David. And actually, following on from that, the point I wanted to make is, and it's very apt what you said, is we have our to-do list, but we can also have a to-be list. And we can, and already we're thinking kind, helpful, all these things, generous, family-oriented. What are we doing now so that we are ticking our to-be list? We're always ticking our to-do list. And our to-do list is never ending. You complete your to-do list, within 2 days it's full again. So, our to-be list. You know, sometimes I always think to myself, I hope one day people will be able to say I'm forgiving, because I find forgiveness so hard. I find it so hard when someone does something, it goes right in, and I find it hard to just let go. I just find it hard to just let it go. And I keep thinking to myself, how am I going to become forgiving? You know, how am I going to really become forgiving? And what does it mean to really be forgiving? What does it really mean to be forgiving? We know we've forgiven someone when we can wish them all the best.
Yes.
That we don't want that person to go through any difficulty. Just because they hurt me, just because they put me through some pain, just because they caused me some difficulty, I don't want to wish that on them. I don't want to wish that on them. And if I can wish that person well, because ultimately when someone hurts us, this is part of being thoughtful. When someone hurts us, when someone causes us some pain, some difficulty, when someone hurts us, our instinct is we want to hurt that person back. Or even if we don't hurt that person back, we want that person to experience some pain, can I say? Difficulty? We want that person to experience that. Why is it that we want that person to experience pain? They've hurt me, I've experienced some real difficulty, I've gone through some pain, I've been falsely accused of something, or I've been ridiculed in front of people who I really respect, whatever it is, and I wish ill on them because of this. Why is it that we wish ill on others when they hurt us? What kind of things come up to in our minds when we think about this?
Not always though.
Yeah, not all, but when we do, what is it? We're hurt. So we're hurt, so why do we want them to be hurt? Anger. Yeah, good. So sometimes it's just the anger. What were you going to say, Martin?
was going to say, for once I'm with you, when
Yeah.
people do that to me,
Wow.
I pray for them to
That's so
forgive
nice.
themselves.
That's some higher understanding. That's so nice. Thank you. So we can pray for them to have a higher understanding. Sometimes we're just angry, and because we're angry, they've hurt me, and my anger just wants some sort of revenge. Say again? Tit for tat. They've hurt me, they deserve to be hurt.
I suffered, so let
Because I suffer that part. They've made me suffer, and because they've made me suffer, they also need to suffer. They also need to go through some pain because they've caused me this difficulty. Don't you know?
Sometimes people might feel that that person needs to learn that lesson, because until they learn that lesson, they're not going to stop doing that to other people.
Yeah.
Sometimes you think it's from that perspective, you might think, okay, they need to know what it feels like, because, you always relate things to yourself.
Yourself, yeah.
So that might be. But I just wanted to say one other thing. I learned about this little concept many years ago, where somebody said that, so Lord Buddha once said to somebody that being angry with somebody or wanting revenge is like holding a hot coal in your hand. So it burns you more than that person.
Yeah.
And therefore it's better sometimes to throw that hot coal away.
Just so it stops burning yourself.
Yeah, it's really sat with me in the sense that of course I get angry with people, but then there comes a point where it reminds me sometimes I'm
Thank
just
you.
holding this hot coal in
Yeah.
my own hand.
You're
It's not
holding
my
on,
hand.
we're holding on, we're holding on, we're holding
Yeah.
on,
It
and
doesn't
actually
burn
we're burning
anyone.
ourselves. And that person doesn't even know.
That's right, they don't even know.
They don't even know. You
So
just
that's
burn,
also
we
really
burn
important.
ourselves, but that person doesn't even know.
Yeah,
It's amazing. It said that forgiveness is setting the prisoner free,
yes.
and then realizing the prisoner was me. You know, it's like I was the prisoner because I held on. And like you said, that actually sometimes we just want that person to learn a lesson. We just want that person to learn the lesson. And if they go through difficulty, they go through misery, then they'll learn their lesson. Okay, so I would like to ask, when we need to learn a lesson, because we also need to learn lessons, how would we like to learn a lesson? How would we like to learn our lessons? We've done something wrong, we've been a naughty boy, we've been a naughty girl, we kind of did something bad. Anyone done anything bad? So we did something wrong, and we need to learn the lesson from it, because ultimately, life, like we were saying, that Krishna was encouraging Arjuna to let this battlefield be a classroom. And so this battlefield became Arjuna's classroom for life, his life learning classroom. So in our classroom, in our battlefield, and we've all got our own battlefields going on in our, with the challenges of living in this world. How would we like to learn our lessons? For ourselves.
Like this.
Like this. We like to learn our lessons like this. We sit around, have a cup of tea, be joyful, have a laugh, but at the same time learn our lessons. So actually, when we need to learn our lessons, we want to learn our lessons in the most joyful and happiest way possible. We want to progress. We want to make some spiritual advancement. We want to stop doing things that are wrong to others, but we want to learn these things in the most happiest and joyful way. That's what we want. Okay. So we want to learn our lessons in the most happiest and joyful way. But we want others to learn through misery. Right? They must suffer because they made me suffer. So actually, here's the secret formula. Those that have caused us pain, those that have caused us difficulty, those that have really hurt us, some people who have hurt us, we haven't even told them how much they've hurt us because we just haven't got round to getting into this huge thing that we've been holding on to. We can pray that they learn their lessons in the most joyful and happiest way possible. And when we can really get to that place where they can learn their lessons in the most happiest and joyful way, how does it work? What goes around comes around. So when it comes to us, how will we end up getting our lessons? In the most happiest and joyful way. Why? Because we wish that on others. We wish that on others. If we wish misery on others, if we wish suffering on others, if we wish difficulties on others, if we take joy in the difficulties in another's life, what are we inviting? We are inviting all of that energy back to us. We're inviting all of that energy back to us. So actually, even if we're thinking about how can I be Param Shantim, have this spiritual peace that Krishna is speaking to Arjuna about, how do I get this Param Shantim? How can I live my life with spiritual contentment? One of the most profound ways of doing this is wishing well on everyone else, especially those that hurt us. Even though it's so hard, let this be, even if this is the biggest challenge, I'm going to confess, this is my biggest challenge in life. I find it so hard. When someone hurts me, I just think to myself, I just hope they get something for this. But then what happens to me a few days later? Boosh! The life is a classroom, and sometimes when we don't learn things in a joyful and happy way, when we don't learn our lessons, when the lessons come to us in a very happy, peaceful, joyful way, it's only then that the lesson has to come in a more difficult way. Sometimes people need to go through a big crisis in life just to overcome some internal barriers, just to overcome some challenges that they really didn't realize was them, and they kept projecting on everyone else. That person did this person did that. And then life sometimes has to give us a crisis. And when the crisis happens, when we dig deep enough, when we dig deeper and deeper and deeper, we realize it's not about anyone else. It's actually about the way I'm relating to the world. It's about the way I'm relating to people. And then when we can come to that point and wish well on everyone, stop being vengeful, then Krishna says here, when we say a thoughtful person can achieve the supreme without delay. If we're thoughtful, even from the most thoughtful platform, we can understand that if we give happiness, if we wish well on others, if we have good energy for everyone else, then naturally what will happen? All of that will come back to me. I got the call, thank you. So as we're going up to chapter text 16, so the other thing I wanted to really discuss as this chapter moves on is Krishna talking about who we are in this world. And in text number, in text number, I can say any of these actually because they all get the point across. I'll just read text 8 and 9. A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that he is aloof from them. So what is Krishna saying? He's giving Arjuna this knowledge. He's giving Arjuna this knowledge that there's three. There's three of us. There's three doers. And what he's saying about the three doers is that there is the soul, us, with what we desire. There's that's Atma, there's Paramatma, which is the super soul, and there's material nature, Prakriti. There's material nature. Now, the three doers, how does it work? Well, Krishna is saying to Arjuna that you are beyond this body. Don't think that everything is you. Don't think that everything is you. And sometimes we do think everything is us. But what Krishna is asking Arjuna to do is just have some, I might need 5 extra. He's asking Arjuna, just have this awareness, have this consciousness that you are really not this body. You are not this body. He's explained it before, but now he's getting into it in a bit more detail. Because what he's saying is this: you're eating. That's not really you. Why is that not really you? Because what do? We eat, right? We eat. So I eat, and then I just get on with my day. Now, am I thinking about the food is now going through my esophagus down into my digestive system, and now the digestion is working, and we don't think, it just sort of happens. Digestion is going. We only think about digestion when it doesn't work. Otherwise it just whatever is happening, right? Breathing. We don't. I remember in 1995, my grandfather he had a heart attack. 94, yeah. He had heart surgery, and when he had heart surgery, he had a heart bypass, and I was looking at him after he had his operation, and after he had his operation, the doctor said, look, he may or may not come out of this. I remember really well, it was in Paddington Hospital. And I remember looking at his body, and he just didn't know he had to breathe. And the machine was breathe, like he wouldn't breathe, and the machine would go, and then he could breathe through the machine and then breathe out. But his body had just forgotten that he had to breathe. And that's when it really occurred to me that, I'm breathing. I remember just thinking like this when I was like 12, 13 years old, that, I'm breathing. Like, there's something going on here. I'm breathing, but otherwise, that's just going on unconsciously. So, we're breathing, we're digesting, when we injure ourselves, it's said, no offense to any doctors, I heard this good joke, that we go to the doctor, and then what does the doctor do? The doctor entertains us while the body heals itself. But actually, what happens is, yes, we get prescribed some medicine, but let's say you fall over and you put some antibiotic cream, or if we're very traditional, we put some haldi, some turmeric, and we put it on the wound. Then what happens? We put turmeric on the wound, and then what happens in a few days? It starts to heal. What happens? The body has started to heal itself. I went for physio the other day, and because I messed up my shoulder, I fell over and I did something to my shoulder. And then I asked the physio what he was doing, and he was poking me with a needle, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he said, I'm causing a minor injury. I'm bruising your muscle. So he's like, because when I bruise the muscle, then the body knows to send more blood there. And when that blood rushes there, then it will start to heal faster. So the body knows. And what's the body is just doing? We don't think to ourselves, oh, blood, you're circulating right now. Oh, heart, you're pumping out blood a certain amount of beats per minute. So all of this is going on. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna, just be aware. Just be aware that there is 3 of us. There is the soul who is desiring, who has the intention. There is the super soul, Paramatma, who is sanctioning everything. So the super soul sanctions. We desire, the super soul gives that permission, sanctions, and then material nature carries out. carries out what we desire, or doesn't carry out what we desire. So for example, if I wanted to lift 100 kilograms, super soul won't sanction, and material nature won't let me. I don't have the capacity, the muscles to lift 100 kilograms. So the thing is that Krishna is saying to Arjuna, just be aware of this. Be aware of this, because he wants Arjuna to go beyond the bodily platform. He wants Arjuna to start thinking beyond the body. And as he thinks beyond the body, he says to Arjuna that, one second, where is it? Yeah. In text 15, actually I'll read 14 and 15. The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities. So again, the same nature. Nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature. So the material nature is actually doing everything. The body, it's working pretty much automatically in so many ways. And then in text 15 he says, oh, then what we could think is, oh, that means if material nature is doing everything, then maybe I'm not accountable. Because it's not me, it's material nature. You know, if I hit you, it wasn't me, it was my hand. And my hand isn't me, it's material nature. Why should I get any reaction? It wasn't me. You said it's material nature. So then Krishna makes it very clear in text 15. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance that covers their real knowledge. That means that we are still accountable. Why? Because we had the intention and we had the desire. So if we hurt someone, we can't just say, well, it wasn't me, it was material nature, it was my voice box, and that's not me. No, we had the desire, and because of our desire, material nature then facilitated, so we still get the reaction. So Krishna is making that clear. Even though there's three, because it's our intention and our desire, it's on us to be responsible and accountable for what we do. And the last text we wanted to do today was text 16. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. And here Krishna is saying that this is the knowledge that is most important. There's so much knowledge out there, but how often are we thinking of transcendental knowledge? How often are we thinking of spiritual knowledge? How often are we thinking about what's really going to help us live a fulfilling life? And what Krishna is saying is that this knowledge reveals everything. As the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So sometimes when we feel that life is feeling a little dark, there's too much darkness, where do I find some light? Well, Krishna is saying that this knowledge is like the sun. The prayer that we started with, Om Agyan Timirandasya, we're saying the spiritual teachers are like a torch of knowledge. They're lighting up our hearts with this knowledge that can ultimately free us, which is what we're looking for. We're looking for this freedom. The soul, the soul within us is hankering for freedom. And Krishna is saying at the beginning of this chapter, don't be hankering for what we don't have in this world. Because the real hankering is the freedom from this world, the freedom from the bondage of this world. And I'm going to end here because we're at 8:35. So I'd like to thank all of you for listening so attentively. And I hope that we can see you more and more and more at these gatherings as we relish the Bhagavad Gita together. Because coming into an atmosphere where others are hearing together, we're discussing together, inquiring together, then naturally what happens? The heart starts to feel that fulfillment, that contentment. And when we start to feel it more and more, it becomes a bit of an addiction. And this is a good addiction. It's a good addiction, one that won't have any bad side effects. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna. And if anyone has any comments, questions, corrections, please feel free to share.
decide to forgive and forget. We want probably have Krishna in our lives to say, no, get out and fight.
See,
What is the difference? I mean,
See, one thing that's important is understanding that helping someone else may not necessarily be staying quiet. If you're helping someone, Arjuna wanted to run from the battlefield, but that wasn't going to help for peace, but then that wouldn't have given anyone peace, because if Duryodhana became the king, that would have caused disaster. So sometimes our version of peace isn't really peace. And sometimes we've got to help others by letting them know in the most compassionate way where the boundaries are. And Duryodhana had crossed the boundary. In the Mahabharata, Duryodhana crossed the boundary. He tried to poison the Pandavas, he tried to burn them, he got them sent to the forest, he stole the kingdom through cheating. He crossed the boundary too many times, and he had to learn his lesson. And sometimes we don't help others by staying quiet, but that doesn't mean we have to fight or we have to be rude, but in the most loving and compassionate way, we can express what our boundaries are and what their boundaries should be, so that we are safe and that they really, actually it's good for them. If someone, think of it like this, if someone is abusive to us, if someone is abusive to us and we say nothing, then what happens? That person just carries on being abusive. So are we helping them? No. So naturally, and if I say, oh, but I forgive them, I'll stay quiet, that's not really helping that person. So sometimes we've got to be able to compassionately and lovingly express what is right and what the boundaries are. Duryodhana crossed the boundary. Krishna said, too much is enough is enough. This is what we do. Anyone else want to share anything or ask anything? We all sing Param Shanti.
Everyone to renounce.
Peaceful.
Lily, do you want to say something? Okay, I think that watch is slightly wrong. Great, got you.
Oh, good.
Oh, what's test you?
Wonderful. What's
No, look, again, we've got some shards, so thank you for Sudha Ben and the husband for kindly helping, and all the other people that helped with the shard and everything, and help us in the background. It's lovely to see some new faces. It's lovely to have our trustees. So I'll just quickly go through the names. Sarita Mehta, Archana Ben, Kamlesh Chagrit Ben, Dr. Silpa Gadya as well. So again, thank you to you all, and thank you, Kunal, for your time, and thank you for the lovely discourse. So please, if everyone takes some food, and mingle and chat and catch up. Thank you.
I just wanted to say thanks to Prabhu, because you read Bhagavad Gita, it was not understood. And this is actually very helpful.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Very gifted, I think, and it makes it, I don't know how other people feel, but as I said in the last chapter, I just felt, what have I read? And then you sit here and you think, wow, this is